Okay, so I have analyzed my schedule, and I am intending to ascertain what you plan to accomplish following the conclusion of this current deep dive.
Oh boy.
My personal objective is to proceed directly to my location of residence and commence the rapid consumption of considerable portion of cheese and tomato pizza.
Stop. Just stop right there. Halt. Cease communication immediately.
What?
Do not speak another formally conjugated sentence.
I don't understand. I have ascertained the grammatical parameters. What then is the difficulty? I utilized correct verb conjugation. I ensured full articulation of every single syllable. I I fulfilled all parameters of standardized English grammar. I was wondering why you were interrupting my plans for pizza consumption.
The difficulty, my friend, is that you sound less like a human being who's excited about pizza and more like a poorly programmed service robot reading out its internal mandate.
I see it.
You said you wanted to rapidly consume a considerable portion of pizza? Should just said what you're going to do. I'm going to pig out on some pizza.
Wow. Okay, that felt so much faster. But also, it feels slightly illegal in its casual brevity. It feels like cheating.
And that feeling right there, that speed, that flow, that little feeling of like illicit ease, that is the exact gap we are here to close today.
Okay.
And for you listening, have you ever been in this position? Have you ever felt that terrifying moment where you know the grammar, you know all the vocabulary, but every single time you open your mouth, you sound like a formal memo,
Yeah.
not a person?
It is so embarrassing, truly. It's that moment where, like, your accuracy completely ruins the appropriateness of the situation.
Exactly. Well, welcome back to the English Unlimited podcast, the place where we learn English effectively and upgrade your entire communicative toolkit.
And have fun doing it. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Charlie. Today, we are undertaking a really critical deep dive. Our mission is all about unlocking natural conversational mastery.
I need this.
We all do.
Yeah.
It's that essential defining leap past just having perfect grammar. We're going to master the rhythm, the heavy reductions, and the colloquial phrases that native speakers use every single day.
So we can ditch the textbook talk.
And yes, finally sound genuinely fluent and, cool.
I desperately need this. My ability to sound like a normal human being in a spontaneous conversation is my biggest learning deficit. I need the shortcuts, the tricks, the music of real language.
And we are going to dissect the source materials and upgrade your conversational operating system right now. But first,
Ah, yes.
before we fix this mess and delve into the fascinating world of connected speech and linguistic efficiency, we really need your support. Please hit like and subscribe to English Unlimited Podcast right now.
Please do. Your support keeps these deep dives going, and it ensures we can keep translating all the dense academic stuff into actual, usable, real-world advice.
All right, let's get into it. Let's unpack this core issue. Your opening statement.
Mm.
It was grammatically pristine, perfect even,
Thank you.
but socially, it was a disaster. Why was your formal language technically accurate, but totally inappropriate for a casual setting between friends?
Okay, well, I think it's because I used a formal register when I should have used an informal one.
Yeah.
It's like wearing a tuxedo to a beach volleyball game.
That is an outstanding metaphor, yes.
It's technically excellent clothing, but it's completely wrong for the context. You look ridiculous.
You look ridiculous.
Uh,
And we need to shift the goalpost entirely for you, the advanced learner. The metric of success is no longer just grammatical accuracy. That's a beginner's hurdle. The new metric is appropriateness.
Okay, so break that down for me. Accuracy versus appropriateness.
Accuracy is knowing the rule. Appropriateness is knowing when, where, and with whom to use that rule. Genuine communicative competence, true fluency, it demands that your language is sociolinguistically appropriate.
Meaning it has to fit the situation.
Instantly. It has to fit the specific social context, the relationship you have with the person, the environment you're in, all of it.
So if I'm emailing my professor, I wear the tuxedo. If I'm talking to you about pizza, I wear the shorts and flip-flops.
Precisely. And for the self-directed learner striving for this mastery, this transition requires a vital internal cognitive shift. Right now, you're probably operating primarily on what's called declarative knowledge.
Declarative knowledge sounds formal.
It's the conscious understanding of rules. You know, the grammar tables, you can list the verb conjugations, you can ace any multiple choice test on syntax.
Yeah. Check. My internal grammar handbook is fully indexed and ready for reference.
But it's slow. It's effortful. It requires conscious recall every single time. And that is not where natural speech comes from.
Okay, so what's the alternative?
Natural, rapid, spontaneous speech relies almost entirely on procedural knowledge.
Procedural, like a procedure.
Exactly. It's spontaneous, immediate, automatic access to entire phrases, structures, and language chunks. When you are truly fluent, you are not building the sentence from the ground up every time.
You're not. It feels like I am.
You're accessing ready-made lexical chunks, like pulling a pre-assembled module off a shelf.
Wait, can you elaborate on that difference? It sounds subtle, but it feels really, really critical.
It's everything. It is the difference between knowing how a bicycle works,
Hmm.
understanding the physics of balance and leverage, that's declarative,
Right. I can write an essay on how a bike works.
and actually riding the bicycle. That's procedural. It's the unconscious muscle memory that executes the task instantly without you thinking about it.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
When you rely on that declarative knowledge during a fast conversation, you experience a really high cognitive load. You have to think about the grammar, the vocabulary choice, the pronunciation, all at the same time.
And that's why I pause and stumble and sound.
Well, robotic. That's exactly what happens. I spend the first 3 seconds building the sentence in my head, and by the time I open my mouth, the conversation has already moved on.
Exactly. Procedural fluency, on the other hand, it reduces that cognitive load dramatically. The whole utterance like, I gotta go, or piece of cake, is retrieved as one single unit.
So I don't have to think about the pieces. You don't.
Yeah.
And high-frequency exposure, tons of repetition, and active practice, those are the indispensable elements for building this automaticity. You have to make sure conversational responses become automatic and energy efficient.
So I have to stop thinking about the ingredients and just start retrieving the whole meal.
That is the goal.
Yeah.
And that recipe for genuine communicative mastery, it requires simultaneous development across 3 interdependent domains. We call it the triadic model in our source materials.
Okay, the triadic model.
If any one of these 3 domains is weak, your fluency suffers. You can't just focus on one.
I remember you mentioning these. It was lexical depth, functional pragmatics, and prosodic accuracy. Let's dive deep into each one of those.
We must. First up, lexical depth. This is your reservoir of ready-made phrases, common collocations, phrasal verbs, idioms, all that high-frequency vocabulary.
So it's more than just knowing words.
So much more. It moves beyond knowing isolated words. It's knowing that heavy rain is usually described idiomatically as raining cats and dogs. It's also knowing that people typically take a shower, not do a shower.
Right, collocations, words that just go together.
They're ready-made combinations, and using them makes you sound immediately more native.
So instead of trying to assemble the words I am and sick, I should just retrieve the whole chunk. I am feeling under the weather.
Exactly. The non-literal meaning is instantly understood because you internalize the chunk. And that leads us directly to the second and often most neglected domain, functional pragmatics.
This is where I struggle the most, I think. I know the words, but I don't know how to use them to get things done in the social world.
And that's the perfect definition. Functional pragmatics is the practical application of language to perform real-world social tasks. It's all about the functions of language.
So it's not just knowing, it's doing.
Yes. It moves beyond just knowing words to deploying phrases that manage interactions, solve problems, or navigate social situations. For example, knowing the words for coffee and order is lexical depth.
Right.
Knowing how to politely interrupt a busy barista and then confirm your order. That's functional pragmatics.
Okay, so how do you politely interrupt in a conversation? I often just blurt out my thought and it feels wrong.
It's a classic functional failure. In English, direct interruption is often considered rude. Functional pragmatics teaches you these high-frequency softening phrases. Instead of just speaking, you might start with, sorry to cut in, but,
Sorry to cut in.
or, if I could just stop you for a moment. These phrases serve a social function. They signal that you recognize you're disrupting the flow, but you have something important to say.
That is extremely helpful. Okay, what about when you want to subtly introduce a new topic?
Ah, topic shifting. That's another functional phrase unit. You wouldn't just jump into the new topic.
No, that'd be jarring.
You'd use a transition, something like "speaking of which," or "that reminds me." Or if you want to be very direct, you could say "to change the subject completely."
I see. So these phrases are like linguistic signposts. They guide the listener.
Exactly. They ease the listener into the new information and maintain a smooth conversational flow. So functional competence means having a toolkit of specific phrases for invitations, declining gracefully, giving advice, or managing an interruption.
Got it. A whole toolkit.
That's it. And finally, the third domain, which ties it all together and is almost universally underestimated, prosodic accuracy.
This is the music of English you mentioned.
It is the music. It's the combination of rhythm, stress, and intonation. You can have perfect lexical depth and functional pragmatics, but if your prosody is off, you will sound unnatural, uninterested, or you might even unintentionally change the meaning of what you're saying.
Okay, so how does prosody affect meaning beyond just sounding monotone and bored?
Rhythmic chunking is the key. Native speakers group words into thought units, or chunks, based on meaning and stress. They don't pronounce every syllable equally. For example, in the sentence, "I have finished my homework," we tend to stress the most important content words.
So finished and homework.
Right. The other words, they get reduced in duration and volume. Mastering this natural rhythm, this alternation between stressed and unstressed syllables, is fundamental.
So my robotic tendency to stress every single word, that's what makes the rhythm totally unnatural.
Totally unnatural. And the single greatest impediment to both prosodic accuracy and your listening comprehension is the widespread use of reductions.
Reductions.
We need to spend serious time here because if you rely strictly on the written word, the acoustic transformation of "I am going to eat" into "I'm going to eat" is, well, it's unrecognizable.
Right.
And you miss the conversation entirely. You have to train your ear to automatically map that reduced form back to its full structure. This is what advanced phonology demands.
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the English Upgrade game.
I am absolutely ready to acquire some procedural knowledge. I want to stop sounding like a printout from a grammar book.
All right. For each situation, I need you to provide the overly slow, formal response we heard earlier. Then I'll give you the power phrase "upgrade."
Understood. Let's eliminate some unnecessary syllable usage.
Upgrade number 1, the obligation shortcut. This is a reduction. The situation is that you realize you need to leave immediately because you are severely late for an important meeting, maybe with a client. Give me your most formal textbook robot English phrase for this urgent necessity.
Okay. I have got to go right now in this instant.
Accurate statement, but it takes about 4 seconds to get out. The formality is excessive, and the articulation of "got to" is way too distinct.
It sounds so stiff. Give me the natural phrase.
The power phrase is, "I gotta go."
Gotta go.
That's "gotta" pronounced G-O-T-T. Notice how the "t" sound in "got to" often changes to a fast D sound, or sometimes just disappears when spoken quickly. It lets the sounds merge seamlessly.
I gotta go. It's so efficient. But does this work for all obligations?
It does. It's the essential reduced form of "got to" or "have to," and it just signals requirement or necessity. What's fascinating is the phonetic mechanism behind it. When native speakers merge "got to," the two T sounds often blend, and you get "gotta."
Okay.
But remember, it's close cousin Hafka. You might hear, "I have to finish my homework." The V sound in "have" often becomes a voiceless F because it assimilates the sound of the T in "to."
So the sound before it changes the sound after it. That's why English sounds so messy. It all just blends together.
Exactly. It's called assimilation 1. Sound influences its neighbor, and don't forget the third person singular, "she has to leave now," "has to" becomes "hasta." Mastering these 3 reductions, "gotta," "hafta," "hasta" for obligation, is non-negotiable for real-time comprehension.
I gotta practice those.
Excellent. You just use it spontaneously. Now, quick dialogue practice. Ask me why I'm leaving so soon.
Okay, why are you leaving so soon?
Oh, sorry, I gotta go. I'm meeting a friend for lunch and I have to be on time.
See? I hear how those reductions just flow. It's the efficiency that makes it sound so natural.
Okay, next upgrade.
All right. Upgrade number 2. Describing an easy task. This one is an idiom. The situation. You were assigned a seemingly difficult, high-stakes project for a client, but the work itself was surprisingly simple to complete. How do you describe the simplicity of the task using your formal English?
That assignment was a remarkably easy task to perform. It presented no challenge whatsoever.
Good vocabulary. But you sound like you're giving a formal status update at a board meeting, not telling a colleague that the job was simple.
I need the power phrase.
The paraphrase is, it was a piece of cake.
Pusa cake. I love the imagery. It's so unexpected. It has nothing to do with tasks.
And that's the point. This is a critical idiom, meaning something is very easy to do. Idioms are essential markers of informal English, and they operate purely in the domain of lexical depth. You just have to memorize them as a chunk.
Right, because the literal meaning pieces of baked goods has nothing to do with ease. Where do these things even come from? Well, many English idioms are rooted in trades, historical practices, or common objects. Piece of cake might have originated in the early 20th century, referring to something so desirable or simple to obtain, like a prize in a contest.
Interesting.
But let's look at some related work and effort idioms that are high-frequency conversational units.
Yes, I need those. I talk about studying and working constantly.
Okay, so if you need to study intensely before an exam, you don't say, I will study very hard. You say, I need to hit the books tonight.
Hit the books. I like that.
And if you are working very late into the night, sacrificing sleep to complete a task, you are not working late, you are burning the midnight oil.
Burning the midnight oil. That's so evocative. I can just picture someone with a candle.
Exactly. This idiom dates back to when oil lamps were the only light source for late-night work. That historical context helps them stick in your memory.
Totally. So I can combine them. I hit the books for 3 hours, and honestly, the test was a piece of cake.
Flawless integration. That sounds so spontaneously confident. Let's try the dialogue practice with our power phrase. How was that extremely difficult chemistry exam you had?
Oh, don't worry. I burned the midnight oil preparing, and honestly, the final section was a piece of cake.
Perfect fusion of lexical depth and procedural recall. You're getting it.
Okay, next.
All right. Upgrade number 3. Revealing the secret. This is another idiom or a phrasal. Situation. You accidentally ruined a highly anticipated surprise party by mentioning it casually to the person it was intended for. What did you do formally?
I inadvertently revealed the secret to the recipient.
The grammar is immaculate. The tone is clinical. We need cultural flavor and a touch of panic.
The power phrase. I need to know how to panic naturally.
The power phrase is, you either let the cat out of the bag or you spilled the beans.
Okay, 2 of them. Let the cat out of the bag or spilled the beans. Why are there 2 idioms for the same action?
This is lexical depth at its finest. While they both convey revelation, let the cat out of the bag often implies an accidental revelation, which fits your scenario perfectly.
An accident.
Yeah. The origin is generally traced back to an old market scam, where a piglet, a valuable item, was swapped for a cat, a worthless item, in a bag. When the buyer opened the bag, they let the cat out. The secret and the scam was revealed.
That makes perfect sense for an accidental ruin. Okay, so what about spill the beans?
Spill the beans is more for general revelation. It's often applied to gossip or just telling confidential information, sometimes with negative consequences. If you hear something through the grapevine,
Oh, another idiom.
which means hearing gossip informally, and then you tell everyone, you've just spilled the beans.
Okay, so cat out of the bag implies a blunder. Spilled the beans is just general revelation. Let's practice the accidental blunder.
Okay, wait, how did my sister know about the enormous surprise cruise we bought her?
Oops. I was talking to her this morning, and I think I might have let the cat out of the bag when I mentioned packing sunblock.
Excellent. That quick switch to the idiom is exactly what we mean by procedural knowledge retrieving the full phrase immediately without thinking. Ready for the last one?
I am.
Upgrade number 4, the casual question. This is another reduction. You want to ask your friend what their plans are for the immediate future in a very casual, friendly way. Give me the standardized written question.
What are you doing later this afternoon?
Too slow, too clear. We need maximum speed and total phonological efficiency.
The power phrase, please. Let's get messy.
The power phrase is, what you doing later?
Whatcha?
What you pronounced W-H-O-T-T.
What you doing later? That is lightning fast.
It is a stunning example of connected speech. It incorporates two major phonological phenomena at the same time. First, the reduction of what are you combines two function words and the pronoun into whatcha.
Okay.
Second, you have the highly prevalent phenomenon in spoken American English of G-dropping. This transforms the ing ending from doing to doing or walking to walking. The final G sound is just deleted. It maximizes speed.
That right there is the single greatest reason I struggle with listening comprehension. I'm trying to hear doing, but I only hear doing.
Precisely. If you only recognize the full written form, the reduced acoustic form is just noise to you. This is the difference between reading the language and actually hearing the language.
So if I want to ask if my friend has a preference between two activities, I should be reducing that question as well.
Absolutely. The reduction of do you is ubiquitous. You'll often hear, do you like coffee? Where the do you sounds like ja, or even just cha.
Ja like coffee.
Wow. Or are ya coming, where yeah is the reduction of you.
This sounds like a whole different language, but it's essential English.
You absolutely have to train your auditory system to map these reduced sounds back to the full linguistic structure. Let's try the dialogue using both whatcha and wanna. What you doing later?
Not much. You want to grab some coffee.
Phenomenal. You naturally deployed wanna, the reduction of want to, and doing, the G-dropping phenomena. You're now fluent in phonological efficiency.
This is great. Can we break down a few more common reductions quickly? These feel like the real procedural shortcuts.
Of course. Remember that reductions primarily affect the high-frequency functional words, the non-content words.
I recall.
No.
Lemmy and gimme from the source material.
Correct. Lemmy is the reduced form of let me, for example, let me see that report. And gimme is the reduced form of give me, like in give me a break. Very casual, very common.
Okay. And what about when I'm expressing a lack of knowledge?
You'll hear dunno. That is the casual reduction of, I don't know, for instance, I don't know where she went. Also, for scarcity, you might hear outta or out of, we're out of milk.
That's amazing blending. And the modal perfects, should have, could have, and would have, those are almost impossible for me to hear clearly in films.
Because in fast speech, they become shoulda, coulda, and woulda.
Oh.
For example, you should have called me earlier. The have just reduces to the schwa vowel sound. This is called elision, the dropping of sounds.
And finally, that uncertainty phrase is sort of or kind of.
Those become sorta and kinda. They soften statements and they often mean a little or somewhat. You know, I kind of like this new song.
Okay.
By mastering these essential reductions, gonna, wanna, gotta, have to, lemmy, gimme, dunno, oughta, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and kinda, sorta,
Yeah.
you immediately decrease the cognitive gap between what you read and what you hear. It'll boost your listening comprehension and let you sound so much more natural.
Okay, this is amazing.
But now that we've fully upgraded your fluency and discussed reductions, we must enter the danger zone.
Oh, no.
Mastering this deep dive material is essential, but deploying it incorrectly can lead to embarrassment, miscommunication, or just sound overly sloppy.
I need to know the traps. I don't want to switch from being a textbook robot to an overly casual robot.
Our first trap involves the formal-informal boundary. We have to constantly reinforce this. Reductions like gonna, wanna, oughta, dunna are mandatory for listening comprehension.
Right.
But they must never be used in formal writing. Not in academic papers, not in professional emails, or any other context that requires standard unreduced writing.
So if I'm texting you about pizza, I can say, I want to eat. But if I'm writing a college essay, I want to discuss the data.
Precisely. You have to be able to register switch seamlessly. Prescriptive grammar applies in writing. Descriptive usage rules, spoken language. They are two different systems governing the same language.
Got it. What's trap number 2?
Trap number 2 is about greetings versus farewells. This is a subtle sociolinguistic error that trips up countless learners. You must not use good night as a greeting when arriving somewhere in the evening.
Wait, really? If I walk into a restaurant at 8 p.m., I can't say goodnight?
Absolutely not. Good evening is the appropriate greeting when you arrive somewhere after sunset. Good night is strictly reserved as a farewell.
For when you're leaving.
When you're leaving a place, saying goodbye to a group, or heading to bed, it signals departure, not arrival. If you use the wrong one, you signal to the native speaker that you are leaving immediately after you just got there.
Oh, no, I have totally done that. Okay. Good evening for arrival. Good night for departure. Simple, but utterly critical for social functioning.
Trap number 3 brings us back to the monotone disaster and stress shifting. We established that prosody, the stress and intonation, is vital. Failure to use stress correctly doesn't just make you sound boring. It can change the semantic focus of your sentence, potentially changing the meaning entirely.
Give me another example of how shifting stress changes meaning. I found that last one fascinating.
Okay, listen carefully to this sentence. I gave the book to her yesterday. Now, if I shift the stress, the meaning is altered. Listen, I gave the book to her yesterday.
The focus is on the time, not today.
Exactly. Now, I gave the book to her yesterday.
The focus is on the object, not the keys or the notes. The book.
Right. And finally, I gave the book to her yesterday.
The focus is on the person, not to him or to them, but specifically to her.
See, the grammatical structure remains identical, but the emphasis, the stress, it determines what information is new or contrasted. The listener interprets the focus based on the loudest word.
Wow, that's like a superpower. And I guess the intonation pattern, the rise and fall of your pitch, that's what carries all the emotion.
It's the primary vehicle for emotion. A rising intonation on a statement, for instance, can turn it into an expression of surprise or skepticism, even if the words are affirmative.
So if I say, you're leaving with a rising pitch, it's a question of disbelief. But if I say, you're leaving with a falling pitch, it's just a definite statement of fact.
Precisely. If you are monotone, you strip the language of its emotional and informational focus. You risk confusing people, or worse, just signaling that you're bored.
Okay, 3 traps covered. Don't want to
Yeah.
fall into those. What's trap number 4?
Trap number 4 is the infamous issue of false friends or cognates. This is especially relevant if you speak a language related to English, like Spanish, French, or German.
Right, words that look the same but mean different things.
Completely different things, leading to highly awkward moments in functional pragmatics.
Can you give us a high-frequency example?
Certainly. In English, the word actually means in reality or in fact. However, in Spanish, the similar-looking word actualmente means currently or at the present moment.
Oh, I can see the problem already.
A Spanish speaker trying to say, I am currently living in London, might accidentally say, actually, I live in London.
Which sounds like they are correcting you or arguing with you. That is a subtle but potent trap.
Exactly. The listener hears correction, not a current location. So you have to be extremely cautious of any word that looks familiar. Another famous one is the word sensible. In English, it means practical or prudent. In many Romance languages, the cognate refers to sensitive or emotional.
That requires deep lexical depth and cross-cultural awareness. Okay, what's trap number 5?
Trap number 5 is the reverse of your initial problem. Overusing slang and reductions.
Wait, but you just taught me to use them.
We did, but context is king. While we've championed reductions and slang for natural fluency, if you use gonna, wanna, and lamid constantly, even in informal settings, it can signal laziness, a lack of education, or a failure to switch registers when the context demands it.
So how do I know when to pull back?
You use the context of the environment and the formality of the person you're speaking with as your guide. If you are having a serious one-on-one discussion with a new manager, even if the environment is casual, you should generally revert to the full forms, I'm going to do this, or I want to help.
Okay, so save the heavy reductions for when the environment is super relaxed.
Or when you're talking about something trivial with a close acquaintance. Fluency is flexibility, not just speed.
Makes sense. Okay, final trap.
Finally, trap number 6, politeness, pitfalls, and functional pragmatics. We touched on this, but let's solidify the functional phrases for indirect requests. We know to save what's up for the cafeteria, not the boardroom. But more importantly, when requesting something, you must use maximum cushioning.
I sometimes use can I or I want, which I suspect is way too direct.
It is. In English, direct requests often signal impatience or a lack of respect for the listener's agency. The best polite alternative is the indirect, softened approach, often utilizing the past tense to increase distance and politeness.
Okay, give me the power functional phrase again, the best one.
The absolute champion is, I was wondering if, followed by the past tense or a modal verb. For example, instead of the direct, can I borrow your notes? You say, I was wondering if I could borrow your notes.
I was wondering if I could. That feels much safer, much more polite.
It signals hesitation and respect for the listener's time and choice.
And if I need physical assistance from a stranger, like lifting something heavy.
Never just say, help me. Use the functional phrase, could you give me a hand?
Give me a hand, the idiom for help.
And always use could rather than can to imply greater politeness. And when someone helps you with significant assistance, you have to respond appropriately to maintain social harmony. Go beyond just thank you. Use phrases that convey genuine appreciation. I really appreciate your help, or that was so kind of you. These social lubricants are just as important as perfect grammar.
Okay, I think I'm ready to leave the danger zone.
We covered a monumental amount of information today, moving you from the restrictive realm of grammatical accuracy toward the true freedom of conversational appropriateness. Let's hit the highlights of your procedural toolkit in a rapid-fire recap.
I am ready to retrieve those lexical chunks automatically.
If you need to rush out the door due to necessity, you don't say, I have got to go. You say,
Gotta go.
if you complete a difficult task with minimal effort, you don't say, it was easy.
Yeah,
You say,
it's a piece of cake.
if you accidentally reveal a sensitive, anticipated surprise, you confess.
I let the cat out of the bag.
If you want to casually ask what your friend is planning to do later, you ask.
What you doing later?
If you are working late into the night to finish an assignment, you're doing what?
I'm burning the midnight oil.
And if you need to make a deeply polite request, you soften it immediately with,
I was wondering if I could.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Now for your challenge, the homework that moves you fully from declarative to procedural knowledge. You need to train your ear, not just your eyes.
Right, the prosodic accuracy, the rhythmic horror of English.
Yes, your challenge is to use the technique called shadowing. Shadowing is the process of listening to a short clip of native speech, maybe 3 minutes long, and then repeating it immediately, almost simultaneously.
Okay.
You're trying to mimic the native speaker's exact rhythm, stress, and reductions, not just the words.
So I need to listen to a native speaker say, I gotta go, and I have to repeat the got sound, not the got to sound.
Exactly. You are literally reprogramming your muscle memory and your auditory processing system to accept the reduced acoustic forms as correct and natural. Focus intensely on those phonological phenomena, particularly the gona in the sentence and the stress placement in the content words.
Okay.
This practice is about consistency over duration. 20 focused minutes daily will yield transformative results.
Shadowing the speech, focusing on the prosody, and trying to sound natural. I accept the dare. I gotta start this immediately.
You must embrace the complexity of the spoken language. Consistency is key. Now, one final thought to mull over. Remember that fluency starts not with the pursuit of perfect static rules, but with the flexible deployment of appropriate dynamic chunks.
It's a mindset shift.
A complete one.
Right.
English is not a set of grammar rules. It is a dynamic tool for spontaneous connection and expression. Go out there and be flexible.
If you found this deep dive useful, please make sure you subscribe to English Unlimited podcast one last time. It helps us keep diving deep into the language and bringing you these necessary upgrades.
It really does.
I'm smart now. Bye.
See you next time.